Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks so much. We do all this together every day. You know, as I look out here at this gathering this morning, I can tell you there's something truly unique about this room. Because in this room this morning, you can still see America. You can still see the America that we all love. The America that in many ways we're afraid we're losing or we've already lost. But you can still see that America in this room. What do I mean by that? Well, look around you. Just look around you this morning. We're doctors and we're farmers. We're lawyers and we're police. We're truck drivers, we're teachers, we're carpenters, we're engineers, we're active duty soldiers and double duty moms. We're men, we're women, we're Republicans, we're Democrats, we're Christians and Jews, and every other religion. We're every age and race and demographic in the book. We in this room, we all come from every conceivable walk of life. We're proud of that diversity within our ranks because that's what gives us our strength and our stability. Throughout the NRA's history, we've always embraced the equality of Second Amendment freedom for all income levels, all races, all religions, all law-abiding men and women, and all law-abiding Americans. Because that's what freedom means. It's what America means. And it's what makes NRA the oldest, largest, and most effective civil rights group on earth. But despite all our diversity, the people in this room are very, very much alike. We're united by our belief in everything that makes America what it is. Individual rights, personal responsibility, duty to country, simple things like keeping your word, doing what's right, living within your means, obeying the law, just telling the truth, fairness, justice, and just common decency. They're all on display in this room as we sit here this morning. But all too often, in too many other rooms, those values and ideals are just being abandoned. In far too many rooms in the White House, on Capitol Hill, on Wall Street, in newsrooms, in too many schoolrooms around the country, the America that I just described, that I see as I look out in this room, it doesn't exist. In fact, it isn't even welcome in those rooms. Let me give you an example. Maybe you watched the White House Correspondents' Dinner a few weeks ago, or you might have watched the Oscars. If you did, you saw the exact same crowd. They're the elites of this country, the political elites, the media elites, the Hollywood elites. They're the powerful, the privileged, they're the pampered. They parade around in their tuxedos, clinking flutes of champagne, and they toast each other about how smart they all are, how enlightened they all are, and boy, how in the game they all are. So I ask you, look around this room here this morning, and then look at the Academy Awards, or look at that White House Correspondents' Dinner, and you tell me who represents America better, the people in those rooms or the people in this room this morning? We in this room know that the elites in those rooms have gotten to the point where they're completely disconnected from what matters to most Americans. The fact is, it's gotten to the point where the elites, they don't have a clue. And the sad thing is, it's gotten to the point where they don't even care. The people in those rooms are running this country right into the ground. They refuse to be held accountable for the chaos their schemes create for everyone else. And now that they've crashed the economy and burdened our country with crippling debt, they say they can't afford to pay for police. They can't afford to pay for prosecutors or prisons to protect us. So now, in many courtrooms around this country, they're tossing out the charges when the police officers risk their life to bring them. They're throwing dangerous criminals back to the streets to commit their next murder. And then when all hell breaks loose in their city hall press rooms, what do the elites do? They blame the carnage on your right to own a gun to protect yourself from those very same killers. Instead of enforcing the laws against the bad guys, they demand new laws against the good guys to disarm us. That doesn't solve the problem. The only thing that does is make matters worse. Let's just look at Obama's hometown of Chicago. More than 231 murders, 1,283 shootings in Chicago alone so far this year. Obama, he says it's because they don't have enough anti-gun laws in Indiana or one of the other 4 states that border Illinois. Ladies and gentlemen, the problem isn't in those other states. It's in Chicago City Hall and President Obama's Department of Justice. And the reason why Chicago sees so much terror and bloodshed every night is because in Chicago, they don't prosecute armed criminals. Obama could cut Chicago murders in half if he wanted, or more. He's got all the gun laws he needs. He's got all the laws he needs. But you know how many illegal gun seizures they prosecute under the federal laws in Chicago? 1 out of every 100. 1%. It's unbelievable. Last year, Obama's immigration authorities identified over 152,000 illegal aliens, mostly in jails, they considered to be, quote, criminal threats. Yet almost 60% of them were never deported. In 2014, these statistics just make you sick when you hear them, released over 30,000 more who had already been convicted of an average of 3 crimes each. And they didn't deport them, they just cut them loose back on the streets of our country. So, it's no surprise that since 2010, police say those convicted criminal aliens that the people sworn to protect us simply released and put back on the streets, they have committed 135 new murders in our country. It's a tragedy. Meanwhile, under new sentencing schemes that Hillary Clinton supports, they're purging federal inmates in prisons by the thousands, and many of them are dangerous. And you know what they're calling it? Compassionate release. You know what they call those criminals now? Not criminals, not felons, not even inmates. Now Loretta Lynch's Justice Department calls them justice-involved individuals. Where are we going in this country? What's going on in people's heads? What's compassionate? And how the heck is justice involved in forcing good people to live amid the terror that those policies put right into our neighborhoods every single night? The political elites, it's gotten to the point where they are completely lost in our country. And because they're lost, we're losing the America that we all love. Whatever issue you look at, let's just go through them. Whatever issue you look at, terrorism, crime, jobs, health care, government mandates, border security, energy, education, the elites and their ideology are destroying this country. And when And you know what happens? When their policies all come crashing down, you know who gets out without a scratch? The elites who caused the wreckage in the first place. They're rocking and rolling. They're going to their next Sunday talk show. They're getting dressed for their next black tie event. They're free to do whatever they want, and everybody else, sadly, has to pay for it. You know, it might be let the good times roll for Hillary Clinton as she collects her next six-figure speaking fee from Goldman Sachs. But when the political elites paved the way for Wall Street get-rich schemes and crashed our economy, and there's nowhere for you to work, there's no money for police, and the schools in our country are a disaster, they tell you you're on your own. It might be rock and roll for Hillary Clinton as she collects millions from the Hollywood donor class in the same salon where she tells them she's going to shut down the coal industry and save the world. But if you're a coal miner and anybody else who depends on the artery of energy that drives American industry and feeds your family, she'll tell you, sorry, you're on your own. It might be rock and roll for Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton with their taxpayer-funded, platinum-plated government worker health plan. But if you're a combat vet, and a lot of them are right here this weekend with us, and you're home from Iraq or Afghanistan, and you got to spend 3 years or more trying to get care through the VA system, they tell you you're on your own. They promise you the moon with billions for this and billions for that. But if you're not in the elite, chances are you won't see a cent. Listen to this. 50 years ago, 2 out of 3 people in this country trusted the government most of the time. 2 out of 3. Today, 4 out of 5 people in the United States of America don't. Is it any wonder when they prove to us every day that they're not worthy of our trust? Their cynicism and their lies infect everything around us. The American people don't trust the media anymore either. Is it any wonder when in newsrooms around the country, political activists posing as reporters pass off their lies every single day as truth? And I don't mean just rhetorical fibs. I mean flat out, bald-faced, brazen lies. And you all know it, and so do people everywhere. You can keep your health care. The emails weren't classified. The border is safe. Anybody ever been down there lately? Fast and furious. The economy's going gangbusters. Iran won't get the bomb. The 13 hours of Benghazi. It's lie after lie after lie. And yet, listen to how they talk down to us when they're telling us what to think. Listen to their tone. Listen to their inflection as they sneer and look down on people. Look at how they signal to the viewer right from the start of a show who they think is stupid, who they think is smart, and who they think deserves your vote. Who do they think they are? They're not just condescending, they're hypocrites. A couple weeks ago, when the Secret Service said it wanted background checks on reporters who come to political conventions this summer, the journalists went nuts. They howled as the government agents were burning books and busting up printing presses. Yeah. They'll scream bloody murder if anybody approaches the First Amendment. Yet when it comes to the Second Amendment, those very same journalists want every kind of background check, every kind of delay, every kind of restriction, every kind of outright ban that you can think of. And you know something? They're never going to stop an armed killer, a rapist, a genocidal tyrant, or a terrorist mass murderer with a rolled-up newspaper. But I'll tell you this, with the right to keep and bear arms, we just might. No matter where you look, you can't escape the elitist agenda. My gosh, if you try to go to a movie to get away from it all just for an hour or two, you can see how Michael Bloomberg and his gun-hating modern-day temperance movement are pushing Hollywood to put anti-gun messages in movies now. Folks, more than anybody else, it's the Hollywood media elites who are responsible for dosing our kids with reckless, gratuitous, irresponsible gunplay every hour of every day they turn on that TV. And if George Stephanopoulos or Katie Couric really want to start a conversation about gun violence, that conversation should start with the people who pay them. You know, 50 years ago, Americans looked to those rooms for answers. Today, we look to those rooms and we get answers that make America's problems worse. We here in this room, we understand we live in a dangerous world. The enemies of freedom are out there and they are real, and you know it. They're all around us, and we need to be ready. My gosh, we've got Russian warplanes buzzing our ships, Iran pursuing nuclear weapons, North Korea testing ICBM delivery systems to reach this country, and ISIS killers cutting a bloody trail to our doors. And we also know it's just a matter of time before those horrors that we all witnessed in Brussels, that we all witnessed in Paris, come home to America. And what do the political elites want to talk about? Gun control, gutting our defenses, more free stuff. We here in this room believe that we, the people, America's voters, should choose our own leaders, and we should decide our own destiny. But in far too many back rooms in Washington, and too many salons of fundraisers in New York and San Francisco, and too many newsrooms of the media manipulators, and too many in those rooms, too many of the elite string pullers, they say, hey, not so fast. We decide. But if you're living someplace where there's no jobs, where there's drugs everywhere, gunshots every night, and dealers on your doorstep as you try to send your kids to schools that don't teach them anything, you have gotten to the point in this country where you'll have anyone but them decide. Folks, this election isn't just about your Second Amendment freedom and your rights. It's about all the rights, all the freedoms that define America and defend our way of life. Each one of us, every day, need to remind Americans about what's great about our country before what's great about America gets wiped away by the elites. And that's exactly what the NRA is doing, what we're doing through Freedom's Safest Place. Let me show you what I mean for just a minute.
To the Ayatollahs of Iran and every terrorist you enable, listen up. You might have met our fresh-faced flower child president and his weak-kneed Ivy League friends, but you haven't met America. You haven't met the heartland, where the people will defend this nation with their bloody, calloused, bare hands. That's what it takes. You haven't met the steel workers and the hard rock miners or the swamp folks in Cajun country who can wrestle a full-grown gator out of the water. You haven't met the farmers, the cowboys, the loggers, and the truck drivers. You don't know the mountain men who live off the land or the brave cops who fight the good fight in the urban war zones. No, you've never met America, and you ought to pray you never do. I'm the National Rifle Association of America, and I'm freedom's safest place.
I was born in Greece in 1939. Nazi warplanes bombed us unmercifully. Executions in the streets were common. I saw horror you could never imagine. Human beings became animals, starving, and desperate. But me, I was lucky. Soon after the war, I saw the Statue of Liberty, and I cried. I've been blessed by the freedom and opportunity only America can offer. Today, I feel a duty to speak out. There will always be evil in this world, but the one thing that separates America from every other country is our freedom. And the one freedom that protects all the others is our Second Amendment. Never give it up. Never. I am the National Rifle Association of America, and I am freedom's safest place.
In rooms like this one, and in rooms all across America, you have proven you understand just how special and unique American freedom truly is. And you've proven again and again and again that you, the real America, are willing to fight to defend all of our freedoms, and you know how to win. That's why American freedom is safer in this room than anywhere else on the planet. It's why the National Rifle Association of America is freedom's safest place. Starting this morning, it's up to each of us in every room we enter to stand and fight with every ounce of our energy for all the principles, values, and freedoms that make America unique. We need to reawaken the America, the passion and pride and unity of purpose that made this country so special, where we will not give up our God-given right to defend ourselves, our families, to the elites, to Obama, to the media, and sure as hell not to another Clinton. So, let me ask this to you. Stand up if you believe in freedom. Stand up if you want to protect your right to protect yourself when no one else will, because no one else can. Stand up and every day speak out and put the America that you see this morning in this room, here today, in every room in America. And together on Election Day, let's take our country back. Thank you very much. Fight for freedom every day. Thank you.